Displaced persons in the Appiate explosion disaster who are currently seeking refuge at the Bogoso Roman Catholic Parish Relief Center have called on the general public to come to their aid to assist with their stay.
Now, some of the about 300 displaced persons who spoke to City News after the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud donated assorted relief items and 200,000 Ghana cedis for their care, said they need more space as well as want to return to their homes in 2 weeks.
So this is the Appiate community, and this is the peak of the explosion right at the heart of the Bogoso-Appiate highway. And as you can see, we currently have the military, the police barricading the road, or should I say the portion where the incident actually happened, preventing people from getting close. But what is good is that since this is a very important highway, they have created a detour where we have several vehicles still being able to make their way to and from Bogoso to Appiate and vice versa. But as we speak currently, we have the security over here making sure that we don't have any further escalation of what happened yesterday, making sure that nobody goes close to the heart of the incident. But to just give you a gist of the level of the devastation, these are the remains of the buildings that were actually caught up in the massive explosion that happened here as a result of the collision between a motorbike and the truck actually carrying or transporting what the police is telling us explosive meant for Channel gold mines in the western north. And so as you can see, we have all these structures losing their roof, and the structure itself basically torn apart. And if you go around the community, it's basically a ghost town. We don't have any of the residents actually occupying any of these structures. So this is the proper overview of the devastated Appiate community by yesterday's explosion that happened on the highway very close to the community. And the look around shows a total devastation with basically almost every structure here having its roof ripped off. And even the structures themselves are basically broken. And what you see around are basically security officers going around making sure that the little household belongings that have been left behind are not stolen by miscreants who have come here. Because as we speak, about 90% of the populace over here have been relocated just to take a shelter, because the structures we see behind here are not structures that can actually accommodate anybody who wants to actually sleep here. And so, as you can see, we have the fire officers also going around making sure that if there is any fire that is actually still active, it will be put off to make sure that we don't have an escalation of the disaster we saw here. And you can see a fire officer currently putting some of this little spot of fire off, just to make sure that it doesn't trigger into another disaster. But I mean, just beside that structure, we have household wares, we have pillows, we have kitchen utensils, all being brought out by this fire team, making sure that they don't have any contact with the little fire in the structure. So just take a proper look of the structure over here, and you see that this explosion was something different, and nobody in this community actually expected this thing to happen. And if you look at the distance between where the explosion exactly happened, I would say it is just about 5 meters away from the community, but the magnitude of the explosion made its way all the way to far-reaching part of the community. And as we can see, we have the Air Force helicopter patrolling the town, getting a proper assessment of the level of devastation from the skies. But if I'm to show you where exactly the incident happened, that is exactly where the tipper truck has actually gotten to. Residents that were actually occupants of this community are basically non-existent. I'm told by a resident that I came across, about 90% of the residents over here have basically vacated, looking for shelter elsewhere to actually place their head. And what we see here is a basic school that is actually serving this community. And as we speak, the roof is basically gone and it's beyond usable. The blocks, as you can see, have all broken, and this is basically a representation of most of the houses that we are seeing here at Appiate. But we have some of the residents also coming around, and we just want to find out from them whether they live here or they came looking for people. Anybody?
Yeah.
So you are still looking for them?
Yeah, I want them to go to Shim.
Okay. But if you know, what to say?
Atikura, baby, on Madame Pony. Honina, Tikura, yeah. Who has some said that me by me, yes. Apart from a grass, NBC's and Petro Glassie and Shun FM. I'm saying, I am a hero.
Sisi a wohwehwe omo hu omo he na okọ akobusha so bia omo kọ
To me go so hwem me hu ni pa me nim na ma besa ma hu so a to aja na me go so hwem.
So that is one of the sentiments of a relation who has actually come here looking for the family to see if the relation is around. They've been to the house is broken, they cannot be found.
You were Germany, say, I'd be a blast. And put any enemy say, be a more mubu, and I say, the Anchana may be free. Your friend and also filling station be away home, and a jatum. The Anche and all sounds with any information for say there be a mines for be chemicals be now, Modi trim, and a moto Okada and maybe across now. A day side by the Krumi had there. So often they say, call Asia a daba kumpanka, no more walk on nobody any park a betting. Omunya Madame been put on them 5 or can 6. Omunya, the young go back one or so could chat. I didn't see an S. Journal. Or no crack of one of my mamma, and yes, Omunya knew, yes, will be a yanny, no sanko far from so quakucha. And you are nobody, you see, I do better back when I know one has say. I do be warning her, Ama. Baby, or that dear, and you is this in Yamibim. It is here, Krumi her party. Unya be our hat. Yenny a cow hampody, yes, be any walk down her saying. But more honey, father, we bring so she said, just are buying. Are buying maybe waiting about boy, because me, you see me just say, I'm proclaiming minimum. Sure, if you say, you really say, will be your name, baby will be out. The gives a beer, Nana, a beer with 2 be. No, boy. This is
So the current phase of the rescue operation, basically over here at Appiate community, what is so much devastated is that we have these uniformed men, security personnel, both police and military, going around making sure that unscrupulous people don't actually come here to actually steal or take away some of the few things that have been left behind after this massive disaster. And so they are making sure the people that they suspect do not belong to this community are actually sent away from this community. So this very transformer is the one I'm told played a significant role in triggering the explosion that we actually saw over here. The transformer, as you can see, is just some few meters from the peak of the explosion down there. And I'm told that when the fire actually caught up with the truck, it didn't take long for it to actually have a connection with the electricity post over here with this transformer to actually blow out to trigger the level of damage the explosion must actually cause here in this community as we see over here. And so currently it's been barricaded and a detour road has actually been created as we speak right now. The magnitude of this disaster has actually caught the attention of almost every important personality that has to make this country work. And so we have the IGP who has also shown interest and actually made it here this morning, looking at the extent of damage over here. But we're hoping to see hoping to hear what he also be saying in terms of the security provision that has actually been made over here. And so we have the current IGP touring the peak of the disaster here at Appiate.
Vice President Bawumia, who arrived at the Appiate community in the company of the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry and Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujnapo, was first briefed by the District Police Commander for the Prestea-Bogoso area and a fire officer.
It was the motor that sparked the fire of the van. It took approximately 15 to 20 minutes for the first explosion to occur, by which time the community folks were all rushing to take a look at the accident, against all advice for them to move. There was a lot of disaster and casualties. Initially, the first responders to the team were the community people and those traveling by. With the help of the tricycle motors, that's the Pragyas, they were able to convey a lot of them. And then the Ghana Ambulance Service also came in. As we speak now, they were sent to 3 hospitals and clinics in Bogoso. That is Asida Specialist Hospital, Prestea Health Center, and then Inner City Clinic. Some were also referred to Takwa Government Hospital. We have in total 179 casualties, 13 deaths, and 45 referrals. Among the referrals, 3 have been sent to Confanoche Hospital.
Dr. Bawumia and his entourage, together with the Inspector General of Police, George Akufu-Dampare, as well as the Western Regional Minister, toured the disaster scene at Appiate and also spoke to the few people around.
A major disaster befell us yesterday. It did not only befall the community here in Appiate, it befell the whole of Ghana. And that is why His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, asked me to lead this government delegation to come and assess the situation and see what we are going to do for the people. And we have also heard from the chiefs. First of all, on behalf of the President and the government, we wish to express our deepest condolences to those who sadly lost their lives from this very, very sad incident. As you know, there was an explosion of a vehicle which was carrying explosives, and that was the reason why we've had this disaster. So far, we have heard at least 13 people have died. Then we hear that there are about 59 or so injuries and 179 families that have been affected directly by this disaster. So government on its part is going to do everything to support the families, to support those who have been injured. Thankfully, for the houses that have been destroyed, we are already beginning to think about how to rehabilitate and rebuild for the community here. So I want to assure Nananum that His Excellency the President has given us directives. I've already spoken to the State Housing Corporation, and with them and in consultation with the mining companies around here, we will quickly try to put in place facilities that will help those who have been displaced. So that is going to be one of priority for all of us. So just to assure you that government is fully engaged in all these processes, and we are going to see to it that the people here are taken care of. We will learn lessons, and those are going to be much later on.